So maybe the first time you work with track and field or the first time with ski athletes to NBA athletes, how do you sort of like to ascertain where the group's at, what they've been doing in the past, and then start to bring in your principles?
I'm never afraid to look stupid. I'll ask the dumb question because it'd be more ridiculous not to like take advantage of, especially when you're in those environments, like you have access to some great practitioners, some great resources. So like ask every single question. So the first thing that I'll do, especially with the development side of things, is look at kind of successful senior athletes in that sport, look at some of the habits, look at some of the background, obviously take as a population kind of where these metrics are at. And then for me, like with the ski team, there was a lot of endurance, a lot of strength, a lot of power. And to me, I was like, okay, well, I think the missing piece from what I was seeing was some kind of emphasis on reactive strength, elasticity, because that had been loosely, reading some papers, loosely correlated to reduced injury risk in slalom skiers.
What are some of those signs that you might use as a coach to recognize like, oh, today might not be the day to bring in, maybe more advanced plyometric progressions or more high intensity loading? What would be some of the cues for you to make those decisions?
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost is plan and program it intelligently, right? If I know I haven't hit you with anything hard enough in the previous 2-3 days that we should be carrying a ton of fatigue, then like we're going to go. What I would do with my, like, again, with my skiers, for example, would the first thing that we would do for our summer training when we were starting to warm up, we would stand in a circle, everyone on one leg, we'll just chat and toss a med ball around, standing on one leg, just for a little bit of lower leg work, just a little bit of, okay, the group's checking in. You can start to get a bit of an idea of where people are at. Okay, the bubbly kids are bubbly. Okay, the quiet kids are, quiet. This creates a checkpoint. And then if we notice anything there, we kind of triage from there. It's like, hey, notice this. How's this? How's that? Did you sleep? Did you eat? Did you skip breakfast today?
It's interesting that the standardized warm up, is that something that players would, maybe there's a warm up on the TV screen throughout the gym, they're preparing themselves and going through it at their own time? Or are you talking about like a structured warm up that you're taking them through?
Yeah. So with the skiers, it was about 10 minutes because we just had more time. In the summer, if they're in Park City, there's no snow. And so that was a 10-minute warm up, multi-directional. You're hopping, you're skipping, you're lunging, you're all these things for mobility. There was an adaptation of Altus warm up because a lot of what we were doing at that point was going to be over ground, whether it's running or whether it's, we used quite a lot of gameplay for conditioning. And so we're getting ready to do things over ground on our feet. With the NBA guys, it was a lot different. It was shorter because you just have so much less time and you have you have a lot less of their attention. I don't know if people were just watching the clock or if it was like some internal timer in their head, but you get the 4 minutes. You got four good minutes. You got 4 courts, you got 15, 18 players. And so some of them have already done full workouts. Some of them just rocked up and this is the first thing they're doing.
And what about other cultural sort of behavioral considerations that you've had over your career with any organization you've worked in that you have to navigate, I guess, when you're working with diverse athletes?
For me, I'm quite big on respecting kind of the organism environment interaction. What is the environment that we're in? What behaviors is the environment driving? Behavior is just going to be a logical reaction to the organism and the environment. So, for example, more elite players are going to be treated differently than younger players, right? The principle is that what these more elite players decide to do with the power and the freedom that they have, how they decide to act, that's going to set the standard for this is what it means to be elite, right? And there can be these kind of false attributions, but those become your status symbols. If your status symbol is, well, this guy who's on a max contract is a dickhead, and everyone just lets him be a dickhead and no one bothers him, everyone leaves him alone, you have to be very cognizant of that. That's like where culture will go to.
On that note, in terms of like KPIs for yourself to see that the program's effective, how much do you balance subjective feedback from either the tactical coaches or the athletes themselves with like your objective, like force decks and markers in that sense, looking at their RSI and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. We had the luxury of having a get it out lab in the training center with the ski team, and we had plenty of tech and a pretty well established testing regimen at the nets. And so with the ski team athletes, at the end of every training cycle, we're testing. We want to see our relative power going up. We want to see our reactive strength index going up. And we want to see our isometric strength measures going up, because summertime, that's the time we're going to have to develop those capacities. And if we can polarize the training, then we can also make the aerobic gains that they need just to like get more runs on hill. And we had a load bike at the training center, lactate analyzer, all that kind of thing. So we definitely I want to see these metrics going up. That, of course, I think that's basics of S&C, right? It's test, retest, or test, intervene, retest, iterated over and over again.